Test 1, 2, 3. Hello, my name is Kathy Kinney. I'm an elementary computer teacher at Clear Fork Schools. I have arranged an online course for teachers to take to give them further information on PARCC and AIR testing. I had already done this 2 weeks ago. I had an on-site training for 1 hour at both elementary buildings where teachers could explore different PARCC resources, or if they weren't familiar with the testing questions. So they did a different type of training. They weren't quite ready for an online class. So I will show you the presentation that I had created for them at that time. But for my course requirements, I've gone ahead and went through the topics that they would go through and touch on the same content as what I discussed in my on-site training. These are just done with the Blackboard assignment. Assignment 1 is discussion, where students/teachers will research different websites that I have given them as far as resources. They will take a look at different articles as far as how teachers implement PARCC into their classrooms. There's some articles for research, also some videos for them to look at, some humorous, just to break it up a little bit. There's no assignment due for those. There's 2 videos that I have of how teachers can implement into their classrooms. One of the hardest things I found was finding resources that back up an actual setting of how teachers are using them in a classroom. So I did the best I could to find resources for them to see. From that, the discussion board, they'll post their answers to the questions. How do they see themselves using it in the class instead of just assigning the practice test or something without getting any feedback? What are some setbacks that they anticipate? How do they see their teaching style needing to change? And what steps from the articles do they feel that their district is accomplishing already, or what needs refined? So that is assignment 1. Assignment 2 then asks those teachers/students to go observe 2 classrooms for a 30-minute lesson using PARCC and assessments in their questions in their classrooms, so they can gain knowledge on the following: the flow of the lesson, the interaction of the students, student comments, and also definitely use of technology or difficulties they've had with technology issues throughout the lesson. They are to post that on an observation page, which is not showing right now, but there is an assignment to submission. This next step is research pros and cons. They're going to research 4 articles that discuss the positive and negative use of PARCC. There's plenty of discussion out there right now as far as students, or I should say parents, opting out of PARCC, but then there's also backing up. So my 4 questions were: what were the climate of PARCC error testing in their school district? What background information did the school provide to give research and reasoning? Because I do notice that schools are kind of hindsight as far as giving this information to parents. And then they also had to reflect on some of the skills needed from the PARCC test to relate that to on-site jobs. What steps need to be taken in the primary grades in order to prepare students in the 3rd grade to be successful with PARCC and AIR, because the tasks and skills that they're needed at that level at 3rd grade, there needs to be some changes in the K-1-2 curriculum. Research discussion will be submitted in the discussion board. I also stated in there they need to view, read, and respond to one other student in the class. The last assignment in the class is a student skill checklist. Since students are required to kind of be independent during this PARCC test, they need to have some troubleshooting skills embedded in their own abilities. And so in this, I thought it would be a good idea to come up with a student troubleshooting checklist. In this, it could be done in Word or Excel or any kind of form, but something that the students could have right by their computer. Teachers could also have on a clipboard where they could go around monitor, but it's simple things that they can do throughout the PARCC test. Simple refresh or checking caps lock or tapping outside of a information field just to reload the page. But those are basic troubleshooting skills that students need to have embedded in themselves because the teachers aren't able to help them throughout. On the tips and resources, I have a couple web resources. The first one is a real good one that we have used in our districts, which is Next Gen Assessments. These have math, language arts, science, social studies, and then also some keyboarding that I've used. Students are asked to, there's several different sites on here that they are asked to do the skills that are listed in this box here. When students go to 3 through 5, for example, because I teach that, the sample practice tests for PBA are there, the EOYs are there, and then when you do go down, there are several links that can be used as game-like assessments or just practice of the skills. It goes down and breaks it even further into, if you want to focus on equation editor, which is a tough one for 4th and 5th grade and middle school, I'm assuming, because of the equation editor that's involved in the Parcc. Graphing resources, these are all different links, number lines, and you can see how they're listed there. One thing, just a tip, is that you do need to check those to make sure your web block or your filter isn't blocking those sites, and if so, then IT can release them for the school use. The second resource is the Pearl Trees, which is something that has been released for Parcc Tech Readiness. Each of these have a different link of resources available for the specific tool that they are required to do for the Parcc tests. The last one is the PowerPoint that I had shown for my staff training, and that is the PowerPoint that I showed to the staff during the 1-hour sessions that I had mentioned. These were all linked so that teachers could click right to the practice tests. I had a couple of video examples that went through the backing up of Parcc, why we are testing with Parcc. I gave them a time schedule, so it was very specific to what we were going to accomplish, some time to collaborate, and then also we set goals for what we were going to try to accomplish between now and our March meeting. We're having a follow-up session so that we could get an idea of what we could implement for even the EOY tests or even next year. The resources I listed, I kind of grouped the teachers, I should say, because of their knowledge and abilities and how they've implemented this into the classroom. Based on the first group, if they hadn't explored the test questions yet, I sent them right to the Parcc test and air test so that they could just view those. The second group then looked at resources and also how to implement. I sent a few of them just to the videos just to break it up a little bit and then give them a break before they went back in and dove through a few more questions. And then the last one was a couple, if they had time. Most of my teachers didn't have time to get through all of this just within the hour, so that they requested a copy of the PowerPoint. I had loaded it on our school server so that all could access it. And the last slide was then just the frame of mind of breathe and go forward with it. Next in my class then, I had the instructor info, which is not showing, but I also have my announcements. This is where teachers can go to for Parcc updates. If there's any links for updating new information to parents, then I can send them that. I have the testing dates for them as well. And I think that is the completion of the class for the online. I will do a follow-up survey. One of the things I had in my PowerPoint was a follow-up survey for my staff to fill out, just a 5-question, to find out how often they were using the devices that we have available, what problems they anticipate with Parcc, and then what areas they would like some more additional training in. I'll use that data that I received. I used a SurveyMonkey for them to fill out those results. I gathered that information in order for me to plan the March training. I hope this makes some sense to you, and if anything, I think my teachers it has de-escalated a little bit of the anxiety. I think watching the videos and just collaborating with other staff, they realize that they do not need to just pound PARCC into their lessons. That from the videos that we watched at the beginning, they could see that what they're doing on a day in, day out basis does aim towards PARCC. You just have to tie in as any other resource and see how it can make a connection for there. I hope you have enjoyed watching my video, and I appreciate your time and patience.